Hey everyone, welcome back. Psychopath1c here. I'm gonna review a movie that I reviewed. I think it was about a year ago. Um, Terror Toons 2. Um, I personally like this film. You can hate on it. I'm not gonna get offended if you hate this movie because I can see why people hate it. But I couldn't help but love this movie. Well, love goes a little bit far. Like this movie. Um, I watched it 3 different times since that review, and I had a blast with it each time. I'm probably gonna give this a higher rating than I did previously. Um, what it pretty much is about. You've got this girl. What's her name? Uh, Tiffany. Uh, it's her 12th birthday, and she ends up receiving a DVD in the mail. It doesn't. It says it's sent by Satan, but it's actually Satan's son, who the guy actually died in like after filming this, so it took about 3 years for it to get released on DVD, which is sad. Um, uh, Anyway, she gets the DVD, and her family ends up sitting around the TV and deciding to watch it. Um, it starts off pretty innocent. We've got Hansel and Gretel just walking down the forest, and they end up coming across the witch's house, and she poisons Hansel, and I think she tries to cook Gretel, and it ends up turning them into monsters, as you can see right there. That's Hansel and that's Gretel. Um, they end up ripping her skin off, which I absolutely laughed at because you could tell the skeleton was fake, and there's eyeballs in the eye holes, and she ends up going, ah, and then she dies. I laughed out loud at this movie. It's meant to be bad, and I think it succeeded in being funny as hell. It's not meant to be taken seriously. It's not meant to be taken um, as a high budgeted movie because I forget how much the budget was. Um, Anyways, what we end up getting is Hansel and Gretel end up coming out of the TV and ends up attacking, causing havoc. One woman gets her eyes electrocuted. Pretty cool scene. Another guy, the grandpa, ends up getting his face hammered in with a giant hammer, and they repeatedly make him hammer himself to death, and then he goes, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is like an acid trip, even though I've never tried drugs. But I've heard from people that acid can take you on a wacky trip. Um, and it's only like it says 82 minutes, but it's actually around 76 minutes. And then you've got Hansel and Gretel going around slicing and dicing people. One woman gets her neck slashed with a giant knife, about this big, bigger than a regular knife. And the way, like, even though it's cheaply made, I think they did a good job at making Gretel kind of freaky looking, but at the same time not scary, more funny. and I think they succeeded at having a fun movie for the watcher. Um, anyways, um, Tiffany's sister is making out with her boyfriend at random, and they end up deciding, hey, we can stop these Terror Toons. So they end up going into the cartoon dimension and meeting Satan's son, played by, I don't know if it says it on the back. Shane Ballard. Um, he died. I don't know how he died, but I think he did an alright job acting. Um, he grows really big. Even he's a big fat guy. He ends up growing really, really huge, and he turns Tiffany's sister into pretty much he takes her clothes off and she's wearing a red bra and red panties. And I'm like, wow, she's actually pretty fine. So yeah, um, and she's like, I would never wear this. Well, at least not for you. And I'm like, well, I've never seen acting this whack. Um, one guy ends up getting cooties by Gretel. Gretel ends up kissing him all over. And then the guy's like, that bitch Gretel gave me cooties. And his face is pulsating, and I think his head explodes. Another girl gets tickled to death, and she ends up puking out her heart. Now, it's one of those pictures you'd find on the internet of a cartoon heart. So it looks like that. Now it's not like this, but it looks like a human heart, but as a cartoon. And one guy gets pounded with a baseball bat until he's flat as a pancake. Um, then they get back to the normal dimension. Tiffany's sister and her boyfriend. They get back to the regular world, and Satan's son, ends up making a big cartoon worm that looks kind of like a colorful penis. And it ends up attacking everybody, and Tiffany's mom ends up finding some dynamite from the cartoon dimension uh, that just happens to be laying around, and makes the worm explode. And then they stop the DVDs. They go back to the cartoon dimension and try to stop the DVDs from being manufactured. And you've got this cartoon announcer that goes like, um, I think he says, can they survive or will they go straight to hell? And I'm like, good job. I laughed out loud at that. Um, so it ends with them finally, uh, well, not really killing Satan's son, but stopping the DVDs from being manufactured. But then you've got Satan's son going into a video store, and he's got a big box of the Terror Toons DVDs, and he ends up sending one to Tiffany's neighbor, and his eyes grow real big, very cartoony, and he's like, yeah! And then the movie ends. And I had a blast with this movie. I couldn't help but like it. Um, I can watch it anytime I'm in a bad mood, and I'd have a blast with it. What do I give Terror Toons 2? I give it about an 8 out of 10 just from how much fun I had with it. It's way better than the first one. I did not like the first one. Um, I think I give that an incredibly low score. But anyways, I give this an 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and if you're into bad movies, I think you should definitely check this one out. It gets 2 thumbs up for me, even though my opinion probably doesn't matter, but 8 out of 10. This is Psychopath1c signing off, and I'll be back with another review over a movie I did not like. So, peace.